I guess the question for that long-winded introduction is, do you see a meaningful and potentially influential shift in what colleges are being asked to show, and have those incentives started to change behavior, or might they change behavior in what has been a remarkably intractable industry? Maybe start with Kevin on that.
Sure. Well, I think we would like to rank for-profit colleges, and we may. So you can take that as a promise or a threat, depending on how you see that issue. And the challenge with rankings is always a challenge of information. I know it's a struggle to find data, comparable data for the whole population of higher education institutions that allows one to make reasonable inferences and reasonable judgments about whatever it is that you think is important. I think the monthly's been pretty innovative in tracking down data sources around things like service, research, coming up with new ways of looking at social mobility, but it's always hard. And from the beginning, one thing the magazine has always said is that what it would really like to do is to rank colleges based on how well their students do after they finish college. So we sort of have the U.S. news system, which is well entrenched in basically almost entirely inputs based, a function of prestige and money and selectivity, and then we have some good measures for the service and social mobility. But nobody has really kind of cracked the problem of looking at colleges from an outcomes basis. And on some basic level, that's what the Department of Education is now trying to do with the for-profit sector. It is, as Doug said, not going to be a perfect measure. I don't think there are perfect measures, and I think that's one kind of psychological burden that we have to get over. We can't let the sort of the standard, perfect can't be the enemy of the good when we're talking about arriving at reasonable judgments of higher education quality. But for the first time, there will be information about what happens to students after they leave, and there will be essentially a formula in place where there is a judgment implied about whether or not that outcome was good enough, given how much students paid for it. And that's the other crucial thing that is missing from, I think, all of the rankings, is some sense of value, some sense of not only what are students getting, but what are students getting for what they paid for it. So I think it is a real turning point in the environment for information in higher education. I hope and expect that independent organizations will use that information to make their own judgments, so we can have kind of a robust conversation around quality in the for-profit sector. And once we have it about the for-profit sector, maybe we can start having it about everybody else.